working in the church and any other way? You just kind of long
Two summers ago, I taught a string program across the way. It was just for a week.
For a church.
4 hours a day.
Yes.
A week. It's 20 hours.
Oh, Shelley. I'm thinking Shelley. Oh, Kelly. There's Kelly Sullivan. We had Shelley Williams and Kelly Sullivan. That's what we said. Kelly Williams. Well, that's a man. That's the minister that my work friend really likes. And we always talk about Kelly with that.
I need to find
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff McDonald, one of the pastors here at St. Paul's United Methodist Church. Welcome on this beautiful day. I hope that after the concert that you hang out here in the museum district and wander around. It's just a beautiful day to be out and about. Glad that you're here today. Daryl and the Chamber Music Society have done an amazing job this year of weaving folks who are somehow related to St. Paul's into our different concerts. Almost every week we've had people who are somehow related to us here at St. Paul's, and this week is no different. We are pleased and excited today to bring to you this concert by the Apollo Chamber Players, so welcome them.
Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? All right, we're very happy to be here. We're the Apollo Chamber Players. My name is Matthew Dietrich, director and one of the violinists of Apollo. I am originally from York, Pennsylvania. I grew up loving space and wishing to be an astronaut. I never expected the words of my fifth grade teacher, "Shoot for the stars, Matt, you can do anything you want with your life," would lead me to Houston, founding Apollo almost 20 years ago. I unfortunately have not been to space yet, to outer space yet, but I did find myself here in Space City, Houston, Texas. So very happy to be here. We're going to do some introductions here. I just want to make sure that I recognize St. Paul's and Reverend Jeff McDonald, Dale Robinson, and just the wonderful congregation and community that is St. Paul's. We've performed here a number of times over the past almost 20 years. And used to use the downstairs rooms for rehearsal space before we have what we call our Apollo HQ now. It's just a really wonderful dynamic and relationship that we've had with you all over the years. So, again, very happy to be here. Oh.
The PA mic.
Oh, that's the PA mic. Oh, my gosh. People are going to get a earful.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Hi. Finally. My name is Chloe Kim. I'm originally from Korea, and now I'm based in Houston. It's been over 10 years, and I feel like Houston is my home. I'm really excited to take you on special musical journey this afternoon. I'm so excited to be here in wonderful group, Apollo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Dudzik. I grew up in the great state of Minnesota, very long ways to the north from here, but came down to Texas via Dallas for school. And I like to joke that it quickly came to my senses and ended up down here in Houston, the greatest city in the state of Texas. And that's right. Yeah, you can clap for that. And have been happy to call Houston my home ever since.
Hello, my name is Arya Charagosha, and I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina. I've kind of lived all up and down the East Coast for school and whatnot. I was living in DC the past 5 years, and I actually just moved to Houston this past October. And I will admit, I love it here, but I am getting nervous for the summer that's shortly upon us. But luckily, I have good central AC in my apartment.
Yes, very happy to have Aria down here in Houston if you've been following us the last few years. And Annabelle, you may know, could not be with us today, but Chloe is here, and she is assistant concertmaster of the Houston Grand Opera, so you may have seen her. Who all goes to the opera as well? I had a feeling, okay. Well, I know we're coming up on Easter. We're in the season of Lent, and not to get too thematic, but a lot of the pieces actually all the pieces on the program today deal in some form with death and resurrection. The first piece we performed to you, the Quartet for Strings by Julia Smith. Anybody hear of Julia Smith before? Well, we're helping to resurrect her name right now then. We found some of her music about 10 or 12 years ago languishing in the University of Texas Public Library, and we were just wondering why nobody has played her work, and we found this Quartet for Strings and just really have become in love with it. We've performed it all over, actually, the world now, and it's on our last disc, Trace of Time. But Julia Smith was from Texas. She loved Texas. She ended her the rest of her career in New York City, actually. She wrote some music for the inauguration of Lyndon Baines Johnson, and just was very prolific. But again, because she was a female composer, was not afforded the same kind of opportunities as her male counterparts. So very happy to present that for you today. We are now going to move to a very special piece of ours that was commissioned in 2024. We performed this at the Holocaust Museum Houston. It's titled The Book of Names by Texas A&M composer Marty Regan. Marty is very versed and passionate about Japanese folk music and culture. So he approached us with this idea to write a piece commemorating the 125,181 Japanese Americans that were interned during World War II. A little bit timely, right? Yeah. So we thought so too, and this is 2024, before all the cacophony of the past year or two. And there's a part in the music, it's kind of an elegy, the music, and there's a part of the music where each of us speaks the names of people that were interned. So after we did this at the Holocaust Museum, it was very powerful, and we had people come up to say, hey, I knew this person. We had a rolling screen of some of the names as well. About a week after that concert, I was biking the bayou, and it just hit me like a phaser, lightning bolt, that George Takei needed to read his family's names for an updated, revised version of this piece. So, as one does, I emailed his manager, presented this idea. He was very into it, and after some negotiation, we had him here in Houston for the revised version of the Book of Names with George Takei. George is not here. Unfortunately, he's not going to be walking out that door. But he is here in spirit, and there's a moment at the end where I will read his families and his names, and it continues at the end of the piece. So that's the story of the Book of Names. A lot of resurrection in this as well, as we reflect on the season of Lent. So we hope you enjoy the Book of Names by Marty Regan. Yasu Hasagawa.
Kiyomatsu Motoshita.
Chie Nagasaki.
Kiyomatsu Omura.
Isaku Ota. Bunjiro Mira.
Yei Isoda.
Ishiro Oda.
Haramatsu Shinada.
Saji Murayama.
Kiyo Murano.
Chozo Nagamatsu.
Mason Kato.
Toyoko Aoki.
Kuma Sonobe.
Joe Hiratsuka.
Tami Miura.
Shinzu Kawada.
Gozo Suzuki.
Fuyi Yasui.
Tokijiro Tetsuka.
Sachimi Yamamoto.
Shoye Koga.
Wasuke Nagai.
Yoshi Hanamura.
Ikara.
Heiroku
Hiroko Ni.
Yasu Takeuchi.
Izu Yami.
Chiyoiko Narita.
Sue
James
Tsui.
Yoshida.
Kiyoshi Yamana.
Yoshiko
Kazuo
Ikega.
Fuji.
Ichiro
Kuriyama.
Okamamo.
Isano
Kisaburo
Ishikawa.
Shoji.
Shin
Mio
Gato.
Nakai.
Sojiro
Toki
Kanada.
Maeda.
Kyoto Ueda.
Isaku Morita.
Chio Noji.
Senjo
Masao
Umida.
Ono.
Chijika Hiro.
Isawada Yamaguchi.
Saki Miyamoto.
Sen
Yeo
Mori.
Isoda.
Kuma Nakao.
Sakichi Shiroi.
Tami Goto.
Hanjiro Honda.
Masami Miyata.
Daigoro Yoshida.
Seiichi Doi.
Sono Tanaguchi.
Kazuchi Abe.
Koji Yoshida.
Utaru Frank Hashimoto.
Nisaburo Tamuro.
Tazu Yoshijima.
Zenhei Ota.
Heizo Higuchi.
Ko Tashima.
Nami Kawayoshi.
Kimi Tanaka.
Sae Kaneko.
Takekuma Norman Takei. Fumika Emily Takei. Henry Hosime Takei. Nancy Reiko Takei. George Hisato Takei. Thank you, everybody. Next on our program, we travel to the country of Afghanistan for a piece by Humayun Saki. This is one of the world's most renowned rhubarb performers. If you don't know what this instrument, if you're not familiar with this instrument, it's kind of an ancient, 1,000-year-old instrument, the national instrument of Afghanistan. Play a little bit like a mountain dulcimer. But it's a really wonderful sound. We worked with Hawaiian about 4 years ago, and we're so entranced with this first piece that he commissioned for us. And I guess I should mention, too, for those of you that don't know, commissioning new music based on multicultural elements, and the world in which we live, reflecting that, is really at the DNA, at the core of what Apollo Chamber Players is all about. So we commissioned this piece for string quartet and rhubarb with the performer that was titled Arman, or Hope. And this, we were so entranced again with this that we went back to him last year and asked him to write us a new piece. And he came for string quartet. This is his very first string quartet. It's titled Tolo. I got to get there. Tolo, or Sunrise. And I just think it's very meaningful that someone that grew up in such violence, political violence, social violence, economic violence, is able to still be hopeful about this world. I think that can help us through these challenging times as well. And I'll mention one other anecdote. One of the great things about my job is being able to pick up our guest artists from the airport, take them around Houston, take them to all the great restaurants, and that kind of time that I have in the car with them. You never know what they're going to share with you, and someday I'll write a book on that, on my experiences. But just I'll just end by saying that in this last go around a year ago when we had him down here and we recorded this piece, he shared with me that when he was 10 years old in Afghanistan, he witnessed his best friend shot and murdered about 10 feet from him. So again, I feel like that tragedy, he's able to still overcome that death, and use music to be to help resurrect his soul, and I think it can help us all as well resurrect in this time. So please enjoy and reflect on Tolo by Hawaiian Saki. Thank you very much, everyone. There we go. Thank you, everybody. So ancient Afghanistan folk melodies, I think it works pretty well in our vernacular, too. And I should mention, too, that Humayun lives in the Bay Area, although he still travels the world touring and performing. But he definitely has added to the wonderful fabric of what it is to be an American and an immigrant. Our next piece here is titled "And Still We Cross" by another wonderful composer these days. You may not have heard of him. His name is Daniel Bernard Romain, or he goes by DBR. He has Haitian ancestry. And and for this piece, actually, we're going to utilize and kind of explore a little bit of AI. I don't mean artificial intelligence. I mean ancestral intelligence. So about a year ago, I contacted the descendant of Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington. Yes, there's a family connection there. His name is Kenneth Morris. He is the great-great-great-grandson of Frederick Douglass and the great-great-grandson of Booker T. Washington. He helps run the Frederick Douglass Family Foundation based in Rochester, New York. Does a lot of advocacy for, of course, immigrant rights and also victims of abuse and child trafficking. So very in the mold of what I feel of his ancestry, right? So I contacted him about an idea for a new commission, if he would write an essay or a poem inspired by his heritage and his ancestry, also kind of connecting that to the present day. So he came back to us with an essay titled "The River Between Us," and it's about the Underground Railroad and kind of the resilience and the crossing to freedom in all of those respects. And he also connected it to the Rio Grande in the present day. So it was it's a very powerful poem essay. Daniel Bernard Romain took that, created a libretto, and now we have this wonderful piece, "And Still We Cross." The original version is for string quartet and vocal quartet, and Kenneth as the narrator. And we were so taken by this piece that we actually asked the composer, Daniel, to write us a string quartet version, too. So for the string quartet version, you'll hear a few snippets of some of the libretto and the essay by Kenneth. But as you listen to this, I think if you can reflect on, again, this theme of resurrection, "And Still We Cross" is very biblical as well, and something, maybe a balm or an antidote to some of today's divisions. So please enjoy "And Still We Cross" by Daniel Bernard Romain. And still we cross.
I walk in their footsteps.
The heartbeat in the silence.
crossed so we could stand.
Freedom is not a gift we inherit.
It is a promise we renew. I love the audacity of the composer ending with a bit of a question, just like the American story that we're living these days. Before we go to our last piece here, I'd like to invite you to our season finale concert coming up of our American Story season. It's actually Friday, May 22nd at Midtown Arts and Theater Center, Houston. This is called Venture, and we are kind of, the original inception was kind of telling the story of Apollo 13 and the Apollo program and how that connects to Houston, but I think it's become much more interesting and interwoven now. We have found a couple of really interesting people that were a part of the program, kind of hidden figures like, if you've seen that movie, one of the people we're highlighting for this program, and their story will be turned into a commission, is Miguel Hernandez, who came from Cuba, worked his way up as an immigrant in New York, found his way here in Houston, and in Houston he was in the mission control room during the Apollo 13 tragedy, and we're going to tell some of his story as well. And then Shirley Jones was working in the administration of NASA for decades. She is an African-American female, a trailblazer. She was also born with no arms. So she has this wonderful story of how, she doesn't see herself as a disabled person, but it's helped her become who she is and help her become more resilient. So we're going to tell that story as well with the help of a NASA historian as part of this program. So we hope to see you there May 22nd at Match in Midtown. We are headed next week on a little tour of the East, Pennsylvania, Delaware, performing some of our music from the last 3 or 4 years. So wish us luck, and you can follow us on Instagram and social media if you'd like. And what else do we got going on? I guess that's it for a little bit. We don't have as much going on in April, but we're very glad to be here again. Thank you again for having us. And we're going to end now with probably one of the most famous chamber music pieces of all time that I think encapsulates this American story so well. Dvorak came over to America in the 1890s to teach at the New York Conservatory. And there's the apocryphal story that he befriended Henry Thacker Burleigh, who was the grandson of a slave. Henry Thacker Burleigh is responsible for notating spirituals. So we literally would not have spirituals written down in the way that we have them today without Henry Thacker Burleigh. So long story short, Dvorak and Henry were buddies, and Dvorak, being the wonderful composer that he was, saw how amazing spirituals were and all of the history and the beauty imbued in those, and the struggle and the strife. And so Dvorak used those, absorbed these spirituals in some of his most famous works, like the New World Symphony and the American String Quartet. So here we go with the American String Quartet, the first movement by America-loving Czech composer Antonín Dvorak.